What's up, everybody? It's your boy Joshua Freeman, and welcome back to Joshua vs. Movies, Infusion Edition. I'm here with Brian Carey and Desmond Tillman, and we're looking at Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. Star Wars Episode 2 came out in 2002 and was directed by George Lucas. The movie stars Ewan McGregor, Natalie Portman, Hayden Christensen, Christopher Lee, and Samuel L. Jackson. The movie was met with positive reviews, but we'll see how good the movie is when it goes against us. So without further ado, let's get to the review.
Fight!
Round 1.
Senator, we're making our final approach into Coruscant.
Very good, Lieutenant.
We made it. I guess I was wrong. There was no danger at all.
Imagine you could just keep his mouth shut.
Lady, I'm so sorry. No. I shouldn't have come back.
This vote is very important. You did your duty. Corday did hers. Now come.
More and more star systems are joining the Separatists.
If they do break away,
I will not let this republic that has stood for 1,000 years be split in two. Master Yoda, do you think it will really come to war?
The dark side clouds everything. Impossible to see. The future is.
We will discuss this matter later.
Do you have any idea who is behind this attack?
our intelligence points to disgruntled spice miners on the moons of Naboo.
I think that Count Dooku was behind it.
You know, milady, Count Dooku was once a Jedi. He couldn't assassinate anyone. It's not in his character.
May I suggest the senator be placed under the protection of your graces? Perhaps someone you're familiar with. An old friend, like Master Kenobi.
That's possible.
The thought of losing you is unbearable.
Thank you, Master Windu.
Interesting. This opening scene isn't bad. I don't really have a problem with it. And then attack on Queen. I do want to ask a question. How she was the queen, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now she's what, a senator?
She served 2 terms as queen, which is the limit for them.
Mm-hmm.
And then now she's a senator.
How does that happen? She just became a senator, or she just?
The queen, I know, the queen wanted her to be the senator.
Oh, okay.
So
How long are the terms? Like?
I don't know. So as a first-time viewer,
One more question. One more thing. Why is they so reluctant? Because she blamed Count Dooku, right?
Mm-hmm.
So why are they so reluctant? Samuel Jackson said that.
You know, milady, Count Dooku was once a Jedi. He couldn't assassinate anyone. It's not in his character.
Have they never seen a Jedi go to the dark side?
See, that's the thing. So that's one thing that I noted about the scene too,
Mm-hmm.
is the rigidity that they have. It's like, oh, he was one of us. He couldn't, but he's not a Jedi anymore. And then also they're wary of the mind. You know how the path to the dark side is they detailed in the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
So that seemed like a bit of naivety on their part.
Yeah.
Or they're too self-sure about the fact that, oh, we're the Jedi, and like that's their mental frame. So I think, if anything, they show how rigid their thoughts are, or can be at times.
Okay. Yeah, because I was about to say, like, if that was why are you so reluctant? If a Jedi can't go to the dark side, why are you so reluctant to train Anakin? If you feel like, fear leads to the dark side, so
Right.
that's a big thing. So yeah,
I mean, it's still a surprise nonetheless. I feel like that's somebody they actually knew.
that it goes to the dark side.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think, Liz?
Well, I don't have nothing wrong with the scene.
You like it? Chill with it.
Yeah,
The
no general complaints.
As an opening scene compared to the first movie, I think this one does a better job of, even though the first one didn't really have like a lot of, it opened up pretty well. I felt this one gets you into the action and the plot of the movie a lot faster than the first one did.
Yeah, I think the first movie was talking about just like the trade, it was talking about trade stuff.
Mhm.
This movie had explosion stuff. Yeah.
She landed. They tried to kill her.
Yeah. So you're into the movie
Yeah.
right after that. So,
But literally the same exact,
Yeah.
same exact plot almost.
With them being after Padme.
It's always something with Naboo.
so it's something with Naboo.
Oh yeah.
Fight!
Round 2.
Relax. Take a deep breath. I haven't seen her in 10 years, Master.
Arby? Arby! This is so smiling to see in your side.
It has been far too long, Master Kenobi. Annie? My goodness, you've grown.
So have you. Grown more beautiful, I mean. Well, for a senator, I mean.
The situation is more dangerous than the senator will admit.
I don't need more security, I need answers.
We're here to protect you, Senator, not to start an investigation.
We will find out who's trying to kill you, Padme. I promise you.
We will not go through this exercise again, Anakin. And you will pay attention to my lead.
Why?
Oh my god.
Protection is a job for local security, not Jedi. Investigation is implied in our mandate.
We will do exactly as the Council has instructed. And you will learn your place, young one.
I will retire.
She hardly even recognized me, Jar Jar. She's forgotten me completely.
She's a happy. Happier than me seeing her in a long old time.
Be mindful of your thoughts. She was pleased to see us.
I hit the ship, but they used a decoy.
My client is getting impatient. Take these. Be careful, they're very poisonous.
I don't like just waiting here for something to happen to her.
What's going on?
She covered the cameras. She programmed R2 to warn us if there is an intruder.
There are many other ways to kill a senator. You're using her as bait.
Don't worry, no harm will come to her. I can sense everything going on in that room.
It's too risky.
Okay, I like the scene with them arguing. It kind of shows the relationship they have with each other. Anakin being a rebellious young boy that was started in the first episode.
Yeah.
So I do like that. Yeah. What do you think?
It kind of is similar to Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Because there was.
I think it's a little bit more friction though. But yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. But it's very similar. Like the apprentice to Padawan is very much so rebellious or sees things that are unorthodox. And then I guess even Qui-Gon himself, he did, but it was a little bit different because he was a master. That's why he wasn't on the council in the first part.
Yeah, I would ask though, has Obi-Wan been dealing with this shit for 10 years, the whole back talk? Like, at what point does he get sick and tired of this? Like, what the fuck? All right, you go to the Jedi Council, hey, you guys gotta do something with this fucking kid. He's killing me, right? Like,
that's a good question.
At what point he's like, because he's just kind of sick of it, right? Like, you're gonna learn your place, like, come on now.
Because is it situational? Do you think because he's still a Padme?
He can't. This couldn't just be out of nowhere. Like, this could just be the first day this happened. He's
I don't think
Obi-Wan is
just
just yeah. Obi-Wan is not surprised. Like, what the fuck did this come from? So no, I think this has been happening. This is a reoccurring thing. And but yeah, I'm just curious. Like, at what point does he go to the Jedi Council? And be like, hey, what are we doing? Like, what's going on with this kid?
I know I
He's
said
killing
training,
me. I know I said it, but can he like? Is somebody else like? But yeah, what do you think, does?
No, I love the scene. I think very early on you get to see the internal like friction within Anakin that, you know, he's supposed to be following the code of the Jedi, but he still has the ability, like all the Jedi, but those who haven't, you know, been in the order since a youngling, you know, the ability to form attachments, and you definitely see it as very evident.
Do you think
that's an internal struggle?
Do you think his behavior is more about Padme or just what he's dealing with, like his mom, or it's just him becoming a man?
I think it's a multitude of things. I don't think you can just pinpoint it to one. Like, I think it's evident he misses his mom. I mean, he says it in the elevator going up that, you know, he's nervous about seeing Padme. But I think it is just a natural thing. I do kind of agree in a sense to where you do see a bit of Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, but not in a sense because Obi-Wan was never rebellious and Qui-Gon was never rebellious without intent. there's always an intent behind.
We see a different spin on
Qui-Gon. Yeah, whereas you see undisciplined rebellion within Anakin, where it's very emotional, whereas Qui-Gon's is more or less rebellious because he'd much rather the will of the Force, or let the will of the Force allow things to play out rather than, control them.
He seems more wise.
Yeah, I thought it was funny too as I was watching this movie, the relationship, or how Anakin spoke and how smitten he was with Padme.
I've thought about her every day since we've parted, and
I thought it was a bit extreme, but as I'm thinking in retrospect, that's probably the most contact he had with the girl since he was a child, because he was in Jedi training.
Yeah.
So that's why he's acting like he's straight out of prison.
Can't wait to see Padme.
Well, I wouldn't say it that much because there are female Jedi, but I think
they didn't interact the same way, though.
Yeah, but I think it's more or less that the interaction he had with Padme in the first episode was genuine, similar to how it is with his mom.
Mm-hmm.
And it was an immediate affection there. And he immediately formed that attachment. Because I think in Phantom Menace, I went back. Padme's only 14 in Phantom Menace, and Anakin's 9 or 10. So there's not a huge age gap, but it's still like that, I have a crush on your sister, like when you're at your friend's house, like your older sister thing. So it is one of those things where he's finally of the age per se. And then of course I was gonna say it's possible that they had interactions in between Phantom Menace and,
but it doesn't.
It wouldn't have been that way because he immediately went into the Jedi Temple and was trained. So
it doesn't seem like she's seen him either.
Yeah.
It's like, well,
they haven't had any business on Naboo, and that's where she's been. So it makes sense.
Fight!
Round 3.
It is my experience that senators focus only on pleasing those who fund their campaigns.
And besides, you're generalizing. The Chancellor doesn't appear to be corrupt.
Palpatine is a politician.
I think he's a good man.
I sense it too.
Stay here. What took you so long?
Oh, you know, Master. I couldn't find a speeder that I really liked.
There he is. Pull up, Anakin. Anakin! How many times have I told you? Stay away from hard couplings! Where are you going?
Personally, I'd very much like to find out who he is and who he's working for. This is a shortcut, I think.
Well, you've lost him. He went completely the other way. Once again, you've proved...
If you'll excuse me...
I hate it when he does that.
She went into the club, Master.
Patience. Use the Force. Think.
Why do I get the feeling you're going to be the death of me?
Don't say that, Master.
Can you see him?
I think he is a she. And I think she's a changeling.
Go and find her.
Where are you going, Master?
For a drink.
You want to buy some death sticks?
You don't want to sell me death sticks.
I don't want to sell you death sticks.
You want to go home and rethink your life.
I want to go home and rethink my life.
Easy. Jedi business. Go back to your drinks.
Do you know who it was you were trying to kill?
It was a senator from Naboo.
And who hired you?
Use the Force.
It was a bounty hunter called.
Too bad they didn't axe her in the club. Shit. But this chase is fucking convenient. Not only did it brings him back to the person that he still was hunting, but she has a chance to shoot Obi-Wan, and she shoots the drone, causing him to fall. I'm like, oh my god.
Instead of shooting him.
Exactly. So I don't. This scene is ridiculous to me, but
you have to suspend the believability because, like, my main thing was the ship crash.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen people getting fender benders and get up and limp away, but that was a aircraft, a spaceship, technically, but crashing, and she got up and ran into a club.
Maybe there's an extra cushion.
Maybe something about the changeling anatomy. But I thought that this drove the plot rather well. Like, now you're interested, you know that Jengo has something to do with it, or unbeknownst to you, Jengo, that he's behind this. So it kind of leads you on a little bit more. So this is an interesting plot development.
I like the scene. It provides a little bit of suspense. Like, it's very action-packed for a Star Wars movie. Like, we get the the initial scene where a ship is blown up within the first 5 minutes, and then immediately into the second scene after we've had a little bit of deliberation between how we're going to protect Padme, it jumps right back into the action. And it is very suspense. So I do agree with you. She could have just shot Obi-Wan, because regardless of what would happen, whether she shot him or the drone, he was going to fall. There was no other outcome of him falling. It would just been he's falling either dead or alive.
Yeah.
But this would have been very interesting because, as you were saying, use the Force. But it's very ironic because it's like the will of the Force. Without this bounty and without this toxic dart, they never pieced Jengo to Kamino, and then the clones to Jengo, the clones to the Republic. So it's like this is essentially the will of the. You could say coincidental, but it's like the will of the Force piecing everything together.
I mean, we have to understand the Force is something that's also sentient in a sense. Like that's the fundamental presupposition that you have to make when you watch these movies. That there's a force that is coordinating these events and weaving this narrative together.
That sounds cheap. Okay. This sounds cheap.
I think you need to watch the first movie.
You said what?
I think you need to watch the first movie.
Not to get difficult, but I do think that if you are very religious and you think that everything has to make sense, it's harder to watch Star Wars because it makes you more or less think that everything has to have like a finite ending. Like that ending is already determined. Everything should, coincidences don't really exist in your realm. They can exist, but the coincidence in the realm of, the future is forever changing, it makes it harder to believe. Because the same way we say it's like the will of the Force, it's the common, perspective that we have today where like it's the will of the universe. If I do things and if I manifest things, it will eventually come true. The law of attraction. Mm-hmm. In a sense, it's not directly tied to this particular scene, but it goes to show that like as long as you're willing to accept that the future is there's finite possibility or infinite possibilities of what your future can be, and the Force is forever changing based on events that are occurring, it's not hard to believe that, okay, this is the will of the Force where Jengo is offered a job from the Trade Federation to hunt and kill Padme.
You know, I'll be fine with that if the movie explained that as the Force, but it doesn't.
It doesn't do it. It unravels. So that is another thing of Star Wars. It unravels. Like you're given a breadcrumb, and the breadcrumb leads you back to the whole loaf instead of you getting the whole loaf and then creating the breadcrumb trail.
They don't spoon feed you.
Yeah. Like it's the will of the Force at the end of the day, to where miraculously Jango was hunting down Padme, who was being protected by Obi-Wan and Anakin. Like it's very, like you said, coincidental, but in Star Wars context, it's the will of the Force.
It sounds more like the plan of Palpatine. That's what the Force sounds like.
No, I wouldn't say that. Well, it is possible. I'm not gonna lie to you. It is possible because Palpatine could have told the Trade Federation to put out the hit on Padme, but the Trade Federation and Dooku, or I don't even know if Dooku is responsible for initiating the hit, but the Trade Federation is still the one who have to.
I think he's part of it.
Well, I don't know if he's putting the hit out on Padme, like he's contracting Jango. Like I do know Dooku takes Jango on to be like his bodyguard in a sense, but I don't know if Dooku is telling the Trade Federation to hire Jango to take out the hit on Padme.
Fight!
Round 4.
I'm taking an extended leave of absence. It will be your responsibility to take my place in the Senate. Representative Binks?
Of course, milady.
I do not like this idea of hiding.
Don't worry. Sometimes we must let go of our pride and do what is requested of us.
Anakin, you've grown up.
Master Obi-Wan manages not to see it. In some ways, I'm really ahead of him. I'm ready for the trials. But he feels that I'm too unpredictable. He never listens. He doesn't understand. It's not fair.
Anakin, don't try to grow up too fast.
But I am grown up.
Please don't look at me like that.
I know.
It makes me feel uncomfortable.
Sorry, milady.
Ooh.
Be safe, my lady.
Thank you, Captain.
Anakin, don't do anything without first consulting either myself or the Council. I'll get to the bottom of this plot quickly, milady. You'll be back here in no time. Anakin, may the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you, Master.
You know, this scene isn't bad. I just felt like Anakin having a random temper tantrum was out of nowhere, kind of. You know, I just feel like.
But I think that illustrated his emotional immaturity.
I guess, but I just feel like it was just
It did escalate.
random. wait, you were just talking about something else. You just now life is unfair to him. Like,
He doesn't understand.
It seems like the whole movie he's been shown to be like a little horny, rebellious teenager, and now his life is unfair to him. I don't. It just came out of nowhere. I just thought, but it does show emotional. How old do you think he is in this movie? It said 10 years, right? So what, 19? Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that makes sense.
It's believable.
Okay. Because it's 10 years after the first movie, correct? So yeah, man, it's still a teenager. So how do you guys feel? You feel the same way about his emotional immaturity?
I think it just goes to show his comfort with Padme. That around her, he is comfortable with maybe releasing things that have been pent up with him for years that he hasn't been able to do. Because, I mean, it's just obvious that within his immaturity, as you guys are saying, he doesn't have the I guess you could say, the master of self to meditate and to release your angst through meditation and things like that, that, you know, the modern Jedi does.
Jedi Council should have been teaching him, but, you know.
I think it's more or less goes to show why the Council didn't want him trained, because he was so much older in his background that he had pretty much already matured as a kid of 10 years old would, to where their emotional patterns are already set. And so,
but still, if they was going to let him in, I feel you should have taught him to deal with that. And it doesn't seem like
it's part of their
within those 10
training.
years.
It's part of their training. He's just, as you say, he's the chosen. He is arrogant.
Does he know he's the chosen one?
No.
I feel the arrogance would come from him knowing he's the chosen one.
He doesn't find out he's the chosen one until
Fight!
Round 5.
If the Senate votes to create an army, I'm sure it's going to push us into a civil war.
Do you see any way through negotiations to bring the Separatists back into the Republic?
Not if they feel threatened.
We must keep our faith in the Republic.
What is your suggestion, Master Jedi?
Oh, Anakin's not a Jedi yet. He's still a Padawan learner. But I was thinking...
Hold on a minute.
Excuse me.
I'm in charge of security here, milady.
And this is my home. I know it very well. That is why we're here.
Sorry, milady.
There it is, R4. Right where it should be. Our missing planet, Kamino.
Master Jedi, the Prime Minister is expecting you.
I'm expected?
Of course. May I present Lama Su, Prime Minister of Kamino?
Please. You will be delighted to hear that we are on schedule. 200,000 units are ready, with 1 million more well on the way.
That's good news.
Please tell your master, Cypher Diaz, that his order will be met.
Master Cypher Diaz was killed almost 10 years ago.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
Tell me, Prime Minister, when my master first contacted you about the army, did he say who it was for?
For the Republic. But you must be anxious to inspect the units for yourself.
We used to come here for school retreat. We used to lie out on the sand and let the sun dry us.
I don't like sand. Rough and irritating. And it gets everywhere.
Okay.
Here everything is soft and smooth.
Wait, that line worked? Oh shit. Damn.
No. I shouldn't have done that.
Clones can think creatively. You will find that they are immensely superior to droids.
You mentioned growth acceleration.
Oh yes, it's essential. Otherwise a mature clone would take a lifetime to grow. Now we can do it in half the time.
And who was the original host?
A bounty hunter called Jengo Fett.
And where is this bounty hunter now?
Oh, we keep him here. Fett demanded only one thing. An unaltered clone for himself.
I should very much like to meet this Jango Fett.
I would be very happy to arrange it for you.
Whatever happened?
I went into public service. He went on to become an artist.
Maybe he was the smart one.
You really don't like politicians, do you?
I don't think the system works. Agree what's in the best interest of all the people, and then do it.
That's exactly what we do. The trouble is that people don't always agree.
Well, then they should be made to.
Sounds an awful lot like a dictatorship to me.
If it works.
Red flag.
You're making fun of me.
No.
No, he's serious.
I'm actually much too frightened to tease a senator.
Oh my god. Red flag much? No, but I like this scene. And I guess I get the logistics of the clone army. I don't understand who made them though. Can you guys help me with
You're
that?
saying who ordered?
Yeah, like I don't understand. Yeah, who ordered them? Like, yeah, not made them, but who ordered them? I guess you could say.
Yeah, that was one of the things I was gonna hope Desmond.
Oh,
I understand.
What?
I understand. Like they talked about how they're created based off of Jengo's DNA and modified to be more docile.
Yeah.
But even Obi-Wan, he's kind of confused. I guess he didn't know what was on the planet. He just knew he was getting there, and we were expecting you. So it's kind of like that's a little bit murky, and I would assume there's more outside of this movie inside of the extended Star Wars continuity that would explain that.
No, you're absolutely right. So it depends on what route you want to take it. I mean, we can go expanded universe. You guys have heard me talk a lot about the Plagueis novel, but Plagueis is actually who has a lot of rapport with the Kaminoans because he's tasked them with creating other clones in the past, but they've all failed. And the Kaminoans more or less reassured him that, you know, a human species would be the best template for them to build off of. Mm-hmm. And of course, this is a conversation between Plagueis and Palpatine. Essentially, at the end of episode 1, when Palpatine is more or less assured for the chancellorship, he kills Plagueis, and of course, right after he kills Plagueis, Dooku leaves the Order. And as he leaves the Order, he migrates to Palpatine. Mm-hmm. And so, of course, over time, there's a death stick dealer, or she's a death stick dealer, but she's also Dooku's old apprentice, and it's Kamari Vosa. And what happens is Palpatine tasks Dooku with finding a template for the army. Dooku puts out a hit on Kamari Vosa. Jengo's the one who completes the hit. And so Dooku puts the order in on behalf of the Republic and under Cypher Dyas' name to have the army commission.
Mm-hmm. You said Dooku did that?
Yeah. Under the name of Master Cypher Dyas, who was an old a master at the time that, you know, when Dooku was, I don't know if I mentioned it, but Dooku was Qui-Gon Jinn's master. Mm-hmm. So it's funny how they're all tied together, just as one little sect of Jedi are tied to like the fate of the galaxy, but more or less, Dooku puts the order under the name Cypher Dyas, and that's how it happened.
Okay, so but doesn't that help the Jedi? Aren't they the Jedi's army?
They are the Jedi's army.
Because he made it for them, right?
It is the Jedi's army, but the revenge of the Sith is more or less to cause a internal collapse within the Jedi Order that revolves around the Republic losing trust of the Jedi. And so the first thing they do is they hire Jango Fett as the template, as a clone army for the Republic, and then it goes deeper into the next episode.
Okay. So overall, how did you feel about this scene?
I think Obi-Wan played it well. Obi-Wan had a chance to like genuinely, you know, I guess it goes to show like his I guess like military prowess as far as like being a is Obi-Wan? I don't think he's on the council, but he's a high-ranking like Master Jedi, obviously. So it shows his prowess to obtain information first rather than reacting. So he gets all the information on the like Kaminoans and, you know, the clone creation, and then he's like, oh, okay, so we're piecing everything together. So when he goes back to the council, he's able to present a story and say like, yeah, these fucking Kaminoans have an army for the Republic, and like they're more or less tasking him with more information, but, you know, or with more tasks, but more or less he's able to like, oh, okay, so Jango Fett, oh, Kaminoans give up immediately, he's a bounty hunter. I'm looking for a bounty hunter. Is he here? And then it just naturally like, I mean, you're going to say this is the will of Palpatine, you know, pulling all the strings together. Yeah. Like if he's fabricating everything and just more or less letting everything piece itself together, you can do it that way. But yeah, it all leads up perfectly to him finding Jango. I mean, the Anakin and Padme scene that we've been seeing, you know, since the very first opening of the movie, it doesn't surprise me. I mean, it just goes to show like how genuinely unstable he is, and that it's a facade. I don't want to say a facade because he is one of the greatest Jedi in the Order right now, even as a Padawan, just based off of his potential. But it just goes to show that if tempted, he will immediately go astray from what the Order mandates.
Well, lack of discipline.
Yeah. As far as how a Jedi should carry himself. So yeah, exactly. You say he's very undisciplined without a mentor present. And even then, if a mentor is present, because of his upbringing, he's always open to challenge, the status quo.
So I want to take a step back to Anakin and Padme specifically. So you seem impressed by that line that worked. I don't know, man. It's something. If he can pull Padme with that braid, we have no excuse. I've always hated the Padawan braid, and that's a tradition. But
even the one Obi had in the last movie.
Yeah, I hated that too. Gotcha. I think it's just like for the human Padawans. But as far as this segment, because there were two things going on in parallel. You had Obi-Wan on the other planet, and then you had Padme and Anakin here bonding here. So I think Star Wars did a really excellent job of, or George Lucas rather, he wrote it, whatever. So they did a great job of weaving a narrative that fed you just enough to get you to invest and move the plot along before they switched and got you interested in something different. It never felt like it was interrupted. It felt like it was just the perfect moment for you to shift your interest in something else, and then it pivoted back. So you have these two stories pretty much developing in parallel, as opposed to let's move along here, and then you're missing pieces, and it's like it picked up right where it left off. So I thought that was really well done.
Fight! Round 6.
Boba, is your father here?
Yep.
May we see him?
Sure.
Jengo, welcome back. This is Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Your clones are very impressive. You must be very proud.
I'm just a simple man trying to make my way in the universe.
Then you must know Master Cypher Diaz.
Boba, Uded Sohib. Master who?
Is he not the Jedi who hired you for this job?
Never heard of him. I was recruited by a man called Tyrannus on one of the moons of Bogdan.
Curious. Thank you for your time, Jengo.
Always a pleasure to meet a Jedi. Pack your things. We're leaving.
From the moment I met you, not a day has gone by when I even thought of you. And now that I'm with you again, the closer I get to you, the worse it gets. The thought of not being with you, I can't breathe. My heart is beating, hoping that that kiss will not become a scar. What can I do? I will do anything that you ask.
We can't. It's just not possible.
Anything is possible, Padme. Listen to me.
You're starting to become a Jedi. I'm a senator. Regardless of the way we feel about each other.
Then you do feel something.
I will not let you give up your future for me.
We could keep it a secret.
We'd be living a lie. I couldn't do that. Could you, Anakin? Could you live like that?
No. You're right.
Tell your council that the 1st battalions are ready.
I won't forget, and thank you.
Thank you.
R4! Scramble code 5 to Coruscant, care of the old rotor. I have successfully made contact with the Prime Minister of Kamino. They are using a bounty hunter named Jango Fett to create a clone army. They say Master Cypher Diaz placed an order for a clone army at the request of the Senate almost 10 years ago.
Whoever placed that order did not have the authorization of the Jedi Council.
Bring him here. Question him. We will.
I think it is time we inform the Senate that our ability to use the Force is diminished.
Only the Dark Lord of the Sith knows of our weakness.
No.
Alright, so remember our earlier question that does clarify for us about the order of the clone army. So Jengo is being truthful when Obi-Wan asked him who ordered that, because he said that he had never heard of Cypher Diaz. He had been told by, you remember what he said? Tyrannus. Do you know what Tyrannus is?
Count Dooku.
Count Dooku. So the answers are there. It's just not. It's not as straightforward. It's like a mystery you're piecing together.
It's not sequential.
Yeah.
You aren't introduced to Dooku before you are given his name.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I thought Palpatine was responsible for the Clone Army.
He is. So you remember the Sith is the ruler too. Palpatine is the Sith Lord, and Dooku is the apprentice.
Okay. All right, I have a question.
Sure.
Of course, this is probably not in the rules or something, but you telling me that Anakin has probably been having dreams about his mom since he left Tatooine, and he's never visited her once? Like, he's never gotten authorization to visit her once?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, if you think about it,
that is a rule of the order.
What, to not?
You can't have attachments.
Once you leave your family, you never see them again.
Really? Wow.
Which is why they were trying to turn them down, because they take the younglings, or they take Force-sensitive beings away from their parents early, so that attachment never forms. So Obi-Wan has never met. Well, he has met, but he was taken so early that he only has like images of them. He doesn't actually remember their presence.
So that's what you mean when he's 9 years old. It's kind of too late because he already has emotions that
Right.
he wasn't.
Which makes him inclined to disobey the Jedi Council and their rules. Yeah. There's actually a lot of things that they can't do.
Okay. So why, if that's the biggest thing, why do they, just because he's the chosen one, they bring him in, even though they overlooked that rule?
They brought him in because of Qui-Gon.
But Qui-Gon thought he was the chosen one, and I think they acknowledge it too, though.
Yeah. But you remember, they acknowledged him as the chosen one, but still turned him down. And then when Qui-Gon died, they reversed it.
So it's for Qui-Gon?
Essentially. I always like theorized that if Qui-Gon would have been the Obi-Wan's master, or Anakin's master, as he should have been, he would have allowed Anakin to properly, I guess you could say, navigate his thoughts. Whereas with Obi-Wan has no experience with those thoughts because he was taken so early, and because Qui-Gon was always like a complete 180 from the Council and the Jedi Order. He always went about things in a more, I guess you could say, pragmatic way, whereas Obi-Wan has always been by the book or by the Order.
Okay. Interesting.
So it's more or less you trying to confine it's more or less like you trying to confine like a masterpiece, like a Van Gogh, and you're putting it into like a much more condensed, much more stricter form of art.
Okay. So he's basically part of this. He's basically a Jedi because of Qui-Gon died, and they're honoring Qui-Gon.
They're also running a show on Jedi, from what I understand. So he had made a comment.
Yeah, they did mention.
They made a comment where he said that the Jedi Council, not the Council, but by extension, but the Jedi, they're growing weaker. What does he mean by that?
So he says it that only
the Force.
Yeah, that only the Dark Lord of this. So essentially, Palpatine, and this does kind of provide clarity on some of the earlier scenes we've discussed already. Palpatine knows the weakness of the Jedi, and the irony is that the reason why they can't sense Palpatine is because the temple houses like Sith holocrons, and I think the temple is also built on a Sith temple or something along those lines. Like there's something to do with the Sith that the temple is built on. So Palpatine, although he has mastered diminishing his presence in the Force, he can at times be manipulative, and his headquarters is on Coruscant. Like his dealings as Darth Sidious are being done on Coruscant. So he's essentially in the Jedi's home, planting these seeds of doubt, manipulating the Force, and doing it all under their nose. That's why even in the first scene, when Palpatine asks the question and Yoda's like, the dark side clouds everything, it's him admitting right then and there, and Palpatine getting the satisfaction, but suppressing the satisfaction at the same time.
I just wish the movie would explain how powerful the Siths are to the Jedi, and why the dark side clouds over the good side, basically, like the Force.
You also have to think that the movies 1 through 3 they come after the original ones, so it's kind of like you understand who the Sith are slightly. You're exposed to them and their power
because you watched the original.
Yeah, most people saw the original Star Wars movie, and then as they like
but it's a prequel though. Yeah.
You disagree?
No, I don't disagree. But the thing is that the reason why the Sith aren't relevant in the sense of this movie and Episode 1 is because the Sith are thought to have been extinct for 1,000 years, and upon their their extinction, there was the rule of 2 implemented by Darth Bane. So there was no longer an army of Sith. There was just 2, a master and an apprentice. And so even though you would encounter people that maybe had a red blade, they were never true Siths because they had to be from the Darth Bane line.
Okay. But all the red lightsaber users, they were on the dark side of the Force, but they weren't a Sith.
And the whole thing, I think the easiest way you could bring the connotation of the light side versus the dark side of the Force, more or less allows emotion. It allows you to feel. It's based on all those things. And even in, present day, like you and I, emotions are known to cloud judgment. And so because the Jedi have such a fog usage of the Force right now, a lot of their decisions are based on emotion. They don't have clarity. So if you don't have clarity, you're more or less going to make a faulty judgment or faulty choice based on emotion. And that's what we're going to see right here. You should write one of the Star Wars movies. Nah, Dave Filoni's doing a good job.
Because you're good at explaining the ins and outs, but it's probably because you've read more books and watched more series too. But it was definitely a good explanation between the difference between the dark side and the Force. I just wish the fucking movie would have put it in the movie.
Yeah,
and they would have explained.
Like there's certain also powers that the dark side affords you to use that the light side can use. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, Yoda and Mace Windu are very in touch with the dark side of the Force, but because their power within the light side is so strong, they're able to suppress it. So they know, one of the things you can see is Yoda can handle Force lightning. Like you'll see it later in the movie, but really the only users of Force lightning are dark side users. But Yoda and Mace Windu to an extent can handle it. They don't project it the way a Sith can, but they have the ability to handle it because they've tapped into the dark side of their being, just more or less have regulated based on the Jedi code.
Yeah, even so with for example, not in this movie, but later on. So Darth Vader with the Force choke, this icon, this part.
Yeah,
Jedi can't do that. And then I don't think they're even supposed to use the Force on other people forcefully. Are they?
Oh, so what Obi did at the bar, he's not supposed to do that?
No, that was forceful. I'm saying in a combative fashion.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. They don't use it for malicious intent.
Yeah. It's kind of like martial arts. Yeah. You know how they say you're supposed to use it for defense.
Oh, okay.
You don't play.